story because wow, that was crazy. The billet coming and creating a little chaos. But the reason I say it wasn't my story was that I don't remember any consequence. But what I do remember after telling the story, and I think this is the power of the story, is that that summer, as I mentioned, was a summer that I anticipated would be long and lonely because I had lost finally a friend, a girlfriend. I think it was pretty apparent to me. And well, all those antics that summer with my cousin coming and the billet of my sister coming was a good distraction. But the key that I'm getting is that I was in a state of just sitting back. So that's why the story didn't feel like my story. If maybe I had been a little bit more into it and happy, I might have had a better spin on that story. Like I was there and I was amazed, but I was just watching, believe it or not. Now, what that teaches me today is that there will be times where I might just be there and watching. And there are times when I'm really creating and being part of. I guess that's the word, a participant, like a true participant. But both are just fine. And in the final look at that story, how grateful I am that that summer allowed me to see some new people and to see another side of life that we were very good. We would never have done what Mary José did, but it allowed me to have a summer where I believe I healed, knowing that there were new worlds to explore and new friends to make. So whether I will rebuild that story or just leave it as my insight of the story, it will be whatever it is. But I certainly see the value of stories and doing them again and again to get to that heart of the matter. Thank you.
It is really interesting how you've described your family. What I noticed about your family that I think is different than what it would have happened in my family is that you actually had, a stranger come and live with you. So your family had as a certain sense of openness, or it was porous in a sense that you were able to get these different influences, into your life. And right there in your home, you were able to see that someone behaved very differently. A, a transgression was committed, a quite enormous transgression. It is striking fear into the heart of any, father at like boys on the balcony, uh, which you capture that when you're telling your story, and but that life went on. Like this young woman, I think if that had happened in my family, something like that, well, that young woman probably would have got sent home. That would have been the end of it because there was certain things you just didn't do, and if those things happened, consequences were really severe. So even the fact that you didn't have those consequences, that anything that you remember, it wasn't memorable, so gives us paints a certain picture about your family, and that's very interesting for storytelling too, because we like to get the flavor of different families. What did we all grew up in a family of some sort, and we all had these, particular rules, things that you do not do at really, it feels like for the cost of your life, like there's certain things you just wouldn't do. And whereas how flexible, are those boundaries, and had what was all the family doing to, you know, was there a sense of fortification that you're all kind of protecting each other? I mean, families are very interesting. This the relationships that we, our first relationships, and it shapes how we, respond and how we interact with people, the rest of our life. And and our degree of openness to other people. Like, is it how safe in general do we feel? That was there a sense of safety in the home to sort of explore these aspects of yourself, or was it totally unsafe? Did it feel totally unsafe? Did you have to wait till you left home to find out more about the kind of person that you were? And is that ongoing? And how are we creating, safe places for ourselves now? And are we able to, express strong emotion? Are we able to, take the feedback from people? Or is it that authentic communication? Are we experiencing that anywhere? So this is so relevant to our own growth and development in whatever stage of life that we're in, is wanting to have authentic, connections with people and feeling this is who I am. And if we haven't had that, we don't have a long history of doing it. We haven't had that in our growing up, in our years, childhood, adulthood. It'll feel very strange that, oh, I'm being authentic now. And it just feels natural. This is just who I am. And how many people do I feel that way with? How many people? And it's all, you have to practice it. And I'm fortunate that I could actually practice that. It seems strange, but with someone that I grew up with, I could practice that with my sister. Now that he says, even then your roles can get very set and there's certain ways you will not act. And I'm realizing, oh yeah, I can actually act this way. I can be someone different with my sister. And she responds to it. She might not, I think she's fine with it. Sometimes people in your family, I don't know if you've had that experience of with your kids. You're gonna go, I want to be someone different. And your kids will just stomp on you because they're used to you being a certain way and they do not know. They don't want you making a fool of yourself. That's a big one, right? And so you're not really allowed to, you know, go beyond the bounds, stretch out what those roles are. But the fact that we're actually, through much of our life, we're encased in something that's called the simulacrum. It's a representation, it's an image of who we are that we've just built up carefully. Beautiful. It can be beautiful. It can be, very skillfully done. And it's what we carry through with us. And so people will always be reacting to that simulacrum. And we're reacting to other people's simulacrums. And the where does some little authenticity start to come through? It doesn't have to be traumatic. It can just be something, we gradually learn and get the feel of, oh, this is an authentic conversation. This is, and that's just a worthwhile thing with these stories, telling these stories to each other and finding our tone, finding our voice, discovering about ourselves. Start to notice maybe there's a difference between this simulacrum and there is actually me, myself. And this is the tremendous value of the story that you told, Johanna, and also your story, Cynthia. We're both uh, some part of yourself was speaking to us, and you were hearing that yourself too. So, thank you.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Cynthia, will you be